40% of couples break up because of financial issues. We're here today to discuss how to avoid this problem before it occurs.
Rainbows to riches.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to Rainbows to Riches, a podcast tailored but not limited to the LGBTQ plus community. I'm Rayleigh, and until recently, I had absolutely no financial guidance until I met Drew and Michael, his husband. They not only became my financial mentors, but my very close friends, and we decided to create this podcast, aka community, to safely talk about queer money.
I'm Drew. I run a number of different companies in 3 different countries over many years. I've also bought, sold, and rented out quite a number of residential and commercial real estate properties.
My name is Michael. I'm Drew's husband of 25 years. When I met him, I had just come through bankruptcy, and with his help and guidance, we were able to buy our first home together, and I opened a shop, and now I'm looking at possible retirement.
Period, guys. And the old news is that money cannot conquer it all, right?
Very true.
Research says that a lot of couples break up because of financial talks, financial issues, financial infidelity, lack of financial honesty in a relationship. And we're going to be discussing about a playbook, right, for overall relationships on how to avoid these things beforehand and before they start, before you move in with somebody, which I believe it's one of the main steps to start a balanced relationship.
Absolutely, before you move in. But when you're about to, when you're talking about it, that's the time to discuss money.
And we'll also be discussing how to start the conversation about money to have a solid financial stability in a relationship.
As Drew mentioned or both of you actually mentioned a little while ago, almost half couples break up within the first year because they haven't had these kinds of conversations. And they are so important. They're not very romantic. They're not very sexy, but it will make such a difference in the length and the strength of your relationship if you can talk about bank accounts, you can talk about debt, you can talk about values and savings and possible retirement. It's going to make the rest of the relationship run more smoothly.
I feel like it's one of the main components of the relationship.
It is, and people don't realize that it is, because it's love and it's sex and it's fun and it's happy and it's going out and doing things. And the fact is, when you're in a relationship, all those things are wonderful. But that's not all there is.
Unfortunately.
And you really need to discuss everything else, but money is right up there as probably the next most important topic.
Do you have any preparation topics for people who are starting to have that thought of, oh my gosh, when am I going to have this conversation with somebody? Do you have some points, some highlight points that this person should?
Well, when you're going to have it is when you're discussing the idea of moving in. And there are a number of points that we'll go through of things that should be discussed. How and when you bring it up is up to you.
No, but what are the main things?
First of all, you need to be honest.
Yeah, being honest is certainly the first step, because if you get off on a dishonest note, it's not going anywhere good. It's going to go downhill, and it's going to be a big problem. You have to also discuss savings and investments and travel and what expenses you're going to share and how you're going to share them, to find out that you're both kind of on the same page. Maybe not exactly, but that one is not miles apart from the other.
I have a question. Honest about what?
About how much you make, about how you'd like to spend the money, about what you enjoy doing that costs money, whether it's a vacation, whether you want to go out to dinner 3 times a week, whether you want to go to a small little hot dog place, or you want to go to a fancy restaurant on a regular
Your
basis.
priorities, I guess.
Yeah, what are the things that you, when it comes to money, that you want to do to be sure that your partner is on the same page? And if he's not, it doesn't mean it's the end of the relationship. It means you have to discuss those issues.
Is it rude to start asking, if the person has a debt in this period of the relationship?
At the point where you are considering moving in together, it's absolutely necessary to find
But it's part of the whole conversation. It's not, do you have debt? That's kind of like hitting the person. It's part of the whole conversation where you say, let's sit down. Let's set up a time where we can sit quietly and talk about how we both plan on handling finances. As part of that conversation, you could certainly ask, do you have any debt or any significant debt? I mean, everybody probably has some, credit card bills and all, but do you have a $50,000 or $100,000 college loan? Or do you have 3 credit cards that are maxed out and you're only paying the minimum payment? That's a huge thing for somebody to know.
Some debt is also not recorded, such as, did you borrow money from your father? Do you have friends who are going to come knocking on the door in the middle of the night and say, you owe me? These are the kinds of things that, I forgot to tell you, can really add up. But
I don't know how you ask that question.
well, I mean, you have to be able to have the discussion. It may not be a perfect discussion, but it needs to be discussed.
It is important. Like, we have a situation where you loan me money and I pay you back, but it's not recorded nowhere but us.
But we're the only 2 people for the moment who know about it.
What do you mean?
I know about it.
And he knows about it, right?
That's important.
Everybody knows about it now.
No, yeah.
He loaned you the money, but he immediately told me about it because it is a factor when he has made, and he does this to a lot of people. Too many people. He has been very helpful to a neighbor of ours and some family members who were in financial straits. And he said, well, they'll pay me back. And they have. But sometimes it's taken years to pay back a little bit of money. And that gets me crazy.
Crazy.
That's true, but not often. Usually people keep their word. And in all my whole life, I have 2 people who didn't pay me back.
That's nice.
And what
Did you kill them?
Huh? I didn't kill them, but what really hurt is that I lost them as friends. And that was way more important.
Well, but maybe they weren't good friends.
Maybe they just couldn't pay the money and they were so embarrassed they didn't know what to do. And one was a young lady, a very sweet girl I worked with, who just disappeared. Couldn't find her, never. There was no internet back in those days. And that bothers me probably every bit as much as not getting the money back or more. You lost a friend. And I'm always very careful when I do loan people money to make sure you understand I don't want to lose you as a friend because of it. If there's a problem, let's talk about it. Don't just disappear.
Make a contract.
Well, we do. You insisted. She insisted on a contract. She insisted on a loan agreement. And she said, and I want to pay you interest. I said, you don't have to.
You're talking about Ray Lee now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were talking about a woman before.
Oh, no.
It sounded like you were talking about her before.
No, I'm talking about Ray Lee.
Track her down.
Pay attention.
Track her down.
Anyway, getting back, one of the things you should be doing is creating a budget. Once you've had that conversation or at the end of that conversation, you have to come up with a budget if you're talking about moving in, which includes how much each of you is going to pay for all the major expenses. We talked about the wants and the needs and the investments. In the beginning, you probably want to do the investing on your own, in your own account. I wouldn't combine investment accounts in the beginning of a relationship. Later on, you might or you might not. In the beginning, though, you do have to have a budget for at least the needs.
For the household.
For the household
budget.
expenses, for your rent, for your
I am
electric.
a budget fanatic, so I have lots and lots of numbers and calculations. He doesn't work with a budget. But the household budget, I am in charge of maintaining. So I know when we need to both contribute extra to it because we have a cash household budget. But if he decides he's going to go loan someone money, or if he's going to buy himself clothes, which he never does, or
He buys
he
me the
wants to
clothes.
spend money on something like a gift for me. I have no say in how he spends that money, as long as what we are doing is in agreement in the relationship. The money that he contributes to the relationship and the money I contribute to the relationship is very much agreed upon. But he has no say on whether I decide to buy clothes or if I decide to go out and have, lunch somewhere. That's my money.
Ooh. We're good.
Is it off now?
Yeah, I was just checking because sometimes I put like 3
Alarm.
alarms in a row.
Oh,
What were you saying?
I was saying that as far as budget goes, I have my own money that I don't have to answer to him for.
And
So
it-
for instance, if I want to take myself out to lunch or if I want to buy a shirt, he doesn't have any saying that. As long as I'm fulfilling my obligation or agreed to financial part of our household budget.
I have a question. If, in case Michael is spending his money, supposedly, too much on clothes, how is the boundary in the relationship? Does Drew have reason like, can Drew come to you and be like, maybe you are spending too much on clothes?
He would not, but he also knows that I am very, very conscious of the money that I don't have to contribute to the household. I'm a hairdresser. I make money in tips. I make money in commissions. My income level varies from week to week. And as long as I am able to contribute the agreed amount of money to paying the mortgage, the insurance, all the things that are household expenses, what I choose to do with my own money is none of his business.
that's
And-
the bottom line.
And
But
vice versa.
You
If
wouldn't
he's-
feel
none of my
offended. You wouldn't feel
He will-
offended if he came like,
He likes to make suggestions, but he knows what areas to stay out of. And
no,
I
I
am
would never do
not,
that.
surprisingly, his perception has often been that I spend more money on clothes than I do. But I know that my clothing budget is between 1% and 2% of my income.
whoa.
So,
that
I mean,
sounded
yeah,
fancy.
wow, I bought a
Yes,
new
he
shirt
knows,
today.
right.
Haven't bought anything in months.
He knows exactly what he spends on everything. I have no clue.
Cent.
But he knows every cent, where it went, what percentage is it, how much he spent last year versus this year.
Maybe Michael should be in the middle.
Yeah, maybe. He has
He taught me well.
He
I will
has
say that.
a great handle on all of that. I never did that. But as he said, none of my business. If he says, "Hey, I can't pay my half of the mortgage this month," and he bought 3 pairs of pants, that's a different story. But that in 25 years has never happened. I never even thought it would happen. Never did. And it's none of my business what he spends on pants and shirts and clothes, and if he wants to eat out, or none of my business.
There's an interesting story that goes along with this.
When you're old, there's always an
There's
interesting
always
story
an
that goes along with everything.
When we first started dating, actually, we were living in the apartment, so it was within the first 3 years of being together. It was Christmas, and he hates to shop. So his general rule is, what do you want for Christmas? Go buy it for yourself. I hate that. But that particular year, I knew I needed a new winter coat. And I said, I would like a new winter coat. And he said, okay. And I said, I think it would cost, I think at that point, I would say $300. I had in my mind I could get a coat that I liked for about $300. He said, okay. So I went out shopping. I could not find anything I liked that I would be willing to spend $300, even if it is money, on. I was like, I don't like this enough. I don't want to have that kind of coat. So I kept going into every store in this fancy mall near us, Short Hills. And finally, I started walking into the designer clothing stores. And I don't buy designer clothes because it's nobody's
care.
business. So I walked into a Versace and I tried on a coat. And it was exactly perfect for the coat that I wanted. And I looked at it, and it was $1,400. And I just looked at the salesman. I went, I just can't. There's no way. I said, unless it's going on sale.
Would you spend that money on a vacation?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I mean, my whole thing is it was $1,400 because it was Versace. But I said, I'm not willing to spend that much money on a coat. I said, unless it's going on sale. He says, well, ironically, it is going on sale. In the next week, it's going to be 40% off. So I did my little number calculating. I'm like, well, that's like almost $1,000. I'm going to do it then because I have to. I have to have this coat. It was $900.
You just waited.
So what I did was I went home and I said, I found the coat. I will pay the difference. $300 from you. I'll pay whatever, $600 or whatever it was. I said, I love this coat.
It was a gift.
So he said,
You would have told your boyfriend pay
right,
$1,000.
but that's not the kind of person I am. I'm not going to spend his money when I've told him how much I'm going to spend. That's how much I expect him to contribute. So we ended up, I went and I bought the coat and he looked at it. He says, you like it? I said, it is the most fabulous coat I've ever owned and has no label anywhere for anyone to see. I'm not showing it off. I love this coat. And he said, all right, I'll pay for the whole thing. I'm like, no, you can't. He goes,
I did.
I will pay for this. He goes, I know it must have killed you to spend that kind of money on a piece of clothing. I said, it really did, but I said I couldn't. So that's the way we are financially.
I don't remember that story.
Nice.
I do. And I still have that coat. I've had it relined twice because I love the coat.
I should hope so. We're going to bury you in that coat.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to circle back to the beginning where you said that when people are moving in together is when you should start having that conversation. Before.
When
But
you're
like when you're
talking
about
about
to.
moving, yeah. When you're talking about moving in together, not the month after,
Right.
when you're there.
But how about
Well, you can be in a serious relationship and have completely separate financial lives and make a decision, for instance, if you're going on vacation together, are you each going to contribute the same amount or is one person going to contribute to the other?
Yes.
But that's a separate, that you don't need to know how much money that person has in their bank account or whether they owe money to their father. If the only interaction is that particular finance, you can keep your secrets. But if you're going to move into someone's house, it's important.
Yeah, no, I don't. If you're going to move in, I don't think you keep your secret.
No, I'm saying if you're going to move in, you can't keep your secret.
No, then you really have to discuss basically everything, or you're going to get in trouble. And you're not going to get in trouble in week 1 or 2. You get in trouble after you signed a lease or you have a mortgage, and a year down the road, your partner says, "What? You never told me that."
I remember what I was going to say, but how about people who are initiating dating? You told me that there isn't a date where the person who makes
not the
less
first date.
should contribute.
But you can say, if the person says, "Oh, let's go to such and such a restaurant."
After the third date, I'm going to start helping
What?
out.
You meaning you're going to say that out loud?
No.
Oh, I was going to say that would be really weird.
delete
Give me a
that.
third date and then I'll
What
contribute.
the first date, the first date.
Delete that, Steve.
The first date can be a difficult.
No. Let me rephrase. Let me just. How about people who are in a relationship, but they're not thinking just yet to move in together? In terms of like going out, because sometimes a couple will start a ritual of going out where one of them will show up and pay for the bill. I guess when things are getting more serious.
Money is power, okay?
For that, to
and
have that
if there is an expectation that one person is going to pay all of the meals, that is a power dynamic. And it has to do with an expectation of the roles. You are the, quote, man or the breadwinner or whatever stereotype you want to call it. So therefore, I'm going to be taken care of. And if that's an agreement that both of you have, that's fine. If, on the other hand, I would imagine that if you were going out with someone repeatedly, it would be each partner's place to contribute somewhat. Like, for instance, I'll take care of this one tonight to show it's just
I'll
gratitude.
get dessert.
Or I'll get the tip.
How about I take care of the tip on this one? But what we have as a general rule is if we invite someone out to dinner, we expect to pay. If we are invited, we are hoping not to pay, but we're prepared to pay. It depends on who does the inviting.
But specifically, which date it is. On the first date, you often set a pattern. He pays. That's the time to say, well, let me get the tip. Or she, let me get the tip, or I'll pay half, or something.
Show up with something.
Don't say nothing.
Because that could be a red flag. If
Absolutely.
somebody is
Absolutely.
constantly...
Absolutely, not constantly. 3 times is enough to be constantly. But you need to also. Well, where are we going tonight? I'd like to go to this fancy new restaurant, which I've heard about. It's wonderful. And you Google it, and you see that it has, what is that, $3 or $5 signs, and you're going to spend $150 or $200 a person. You have to be in a position to say, I really can't afford that right now. And there's nothing wrong with saying that.
And you can't be embarrassed to
And you
say
should
that.
definitely not be
And the other
embarrassed.
person said, no, my treat.
And the other person says, no, it's fine, it's my treat, that's fine. But if that person wants to go out every week to a similar type restaurant, and it's always his treat,
Yeah.
that's bordering on a potential problem.
It's a financially controlling
The power dynamic
situation.
thing that you were
Yeah.
I
talking
can
about.
Yeah.
say personally, I was with someone who was extremely generous. He always wanted to take care of the bill, but it became an issue when I wanted to do something different. And the quote at one point was, when you're paying, you get to decide.
Oh,
That was where I knew I was in trouble.
Right.
I had no power unless I was willing to. And I mean, I was not trying to take advantage of him financially, but I like going to nice restaurants. But I'd say, let's go play something simple tonight. And at one point, he just looked at me and goes, if you're paying, you get to choose. I get to choose.
Yeah, that is.
and you were actually trying to be nice with him and not like spend so much.
With him
And
for 6 years. It was a really bad relationship.
So yeah, but you were with him for different reasons, and there were other.
There was a lot more to it than just that.
But
that was a big
that's a good question, and that's the answer. You try to participate, and if it's something that's just out of your budget, you say that really is a little pricey for me. I really can't pay for that right now.
And you have to have the comfortability to say that.
And you can
Especially-
also say, and he's, I'll pay for it. I want to go there. I'll treat. That's fine. Not twice. If he says it the first time, you say, that's really generous of you, and I'll accept it very happily, but it can't be a regular thing.
It is often a way of people hiding insecurity by wanting to show off their money. But it's a red flag if someone is throwing money around where it's not even necessary. Yeah, I mean, if everything has to be fancy, showy, it's like, what are you hiding? Why are you doing that? There are people who are just very, very wealthy who have a life standard. And I personally would feel uncomfortable being in places that I knew I could never afford on my own.
On a regular basis.
Yeah, I'll go.
Somebody invites you once. Gee, isn't that nice? That's fun.
a boat here and there,
Exactly, but not every week. It's just a bit much.
Okay, let's.
Another
moving.
research that I found on the internet by Bankrate Survey that 40% of couples have kept financial secrets from their spouse, including hidden debt, secret accounts, and undisclosed purchases. And this research also says that these types of financial infidelities can hurt sometimes even more than like a romantic infidelity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there are ways you can't always know in advance, but there are red flags, and you need to be aware of them. If somebody doesn't want to discuss finances, you've been dating a while, maybe you're going to move in, maybe you're not. You want it, you say, I'd like to have that conversation. No, not necessary. I don't want to. No reason to. It doesn't matter how they say it. It's a red flag. What do you mean you don't want to? Either you have a ton, or you have nothing, or you're lying about something. Why don't you want to discuss it? Very important. Excessive spending is a red flag. If they're spending, not only taking you out, but spending on most things in a really, really lavish way. Either they have tons of money.
Can.
Well, if they have tons of money, that's fine. But if you don't have tons of money, there's a conversation that needs to be had, because otherwise, like in Michael's case, you may wind up being controlled by a person who is going to say, you get to choose when you pay for it.
Yeah.
And the things that he wants are not
Shut
things that
up.
you can. Yeah. Gambling is an issue.
Yeah.
People are addicts, and you don't even know about it, and they kind of hide it. Especially these days, you can do online gambling. You don't even have to go to Las Vegas or
There's
Atlantic
a very,
City.
very big debate in Brazil about this online game thing, but it's serious.
But it's serious because if you get addicted to gambling, you can truly lose everything you have, and often, if it's done online, you don't know that you've lost everything until it's gone or almost gone, and they can't pay their share of the rent or the mortgage or the electric bill or the car payment. That's when they tell you, and that's too late. It has to be something that you're at least alert to and thinking about.
What else should I be looking for in red flags?
If you find any of these red flags and you suggest counseling and they won't hear of it, how come? Why wouldn't you want to go talk to somebody? If they just refuse it, again, if there's an issue, it becomes a red flag. If there's no issue, then it doesn't come up. Or when one partner is financially controlling, very, very big issue, which is just what we were talking about.
He would often roll his eyes when I would spend money on something, but he wasn't controlling. He would go, "You need another shirt?"
It
I'm
was a
like, "I
feedback.
liked it. I wanted it."
His,
It was just a
We have a
feedback.
second bedroom, which is his closet.
Not anymore. It's not.
No, now we share it.
Now it's his
I
office.
took half of it as an office.
Dude,
But-
the discussion will always happen, and that's the thing. Like, it's not only going to happen once; it's going to keep happening. How long have you
needs to
guys?
keep happening.
Because-
Because we're together 25 years, and relationship has to be a living thing that evolves and changes.
So what happens today may not be happening tomorrow or next year or 5 years from now. You must be aware of the change and discuss the change and sit down and have regular conversations about things which concern you.
Period.
So, in conclusion, if you can have an open, honest financial conversation, you'll avoid misunderstandings in the future and build a good, stable financial base.
Thank you so much, guys. I, as a young lady, learned a lot from you today, and I hope that our community did as well.
We hope so.
Thank you so much for watching this episode, guys. If you want to keep the energy going, also stay tuned for our next episode. This was our version of finance, money, how to handle finances with relationship. Take this moment to share with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your person, and make sure to like,
Comment.
And subscribe.
And do remember that these podcasts are for education and entertainment only. We would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, we will try to answer them either directly or possibly make a podcast episode about it.
period. Thank you.
Thank you.